Our story begins when, 5 years ago, portals called gates opened to different levels of another world called the Shadow World, and people who could access these portals are known as Awakeners with special abilities, with the Shadow World granting them the chance to level up, or get unalived while trying. Right now, a particular team is in the Black Ruin City of the Shadow World, and they're having a lot of trouble dealing with some monsters. A magician crybaby named Su Tao Tao is about to get slapped by a monster, but is saved just in time by a swordswoman, Lue Shui. Another member of their team, Anya the fighter, is also having trouble, as she realizes that these monsters just keep coming no matter how many they slice and dice, and their attack strength is running dangerously low too, probably because they've been fighting for hours now. The warrior, Zhao Haishan, has already given up on living and is ready to accept his fate at this point. Lu Feng, our MC, asks his teammates to release him from a protective barrier they had put him in because he's a newbie, which Lue Shui reminds him of, but he's going to have to join the fight sooner or later. And it's not looking like she has any other choice at this point in the battle anyway, especially when a much bigger monster appears. They try to keep composure in front of the new guy and attack the bigger monster all at once, but the monster easily overpowers them, even with the strength buff from Su Tao Tao. Lu Feng is no longer playing, now demanding that the crybaby Su Tao Tao release him from the barrier. She does as she's instructed, and just in time to save the busty princess, Lu Jue, who has lost her weapon and is about to become Monster Snack. He uses his sword and quite easily slices the monster like fresh butter, and naturally she's surprised that a level 1 newbie could pull this off, but he just tells her to shut her trap while he works. And he does fine work, slicing and dicing the monster with accurate attacks and elegant swordsmanship. The team members are beyond impressed and shocked that a level 1 newbie could do all this. Well, former level 1, because our boy just leveled up to 2 after he defeats that big monster. He then warns them of more incoming monsters from a nest nearby and tells them to run down a path to safety. They naturally wonder how he knows all of this, but they have to be alive in order to find out, so they obey him without asking questions. The busty princess has to ask our MC if he is really a newbie, even though she literally just saw him become level 2. So he reveals that the reason he knows much more than any of them combined is simply due to the fact that this is not his first day here, or second or third. He has actually been trapped in this world for a whopping 3,000 years. Or to be precise, he's been trapped in that day for 3,000 years. Years. Which makes absolutely no sense to her. Every day his time rewinds to the moment they got transported here, and the reason why he cares so much about them being alive is because every time, she ends up sacrificing her life to save his, so they're pretty much best pals. No matter how many times it takes, he's gonna save all of them, and he's dang serious about it. They still understandably find this hard to believe, but he's done more than fight the whole time he's been stuck here, as he reveals that he also spent his time researching everything about this world, from stats, professions, skills, even hidden elements. He's basically a Shadow World encyclopedia now. Lu Shui can't comprehend that Lu Feng is a literal god in this world, and she doesn't have the time to, as he commands them to run away while he goes to handle some business. He assures cute Su Tao Tao that he'll be back though, as he won't leave his best friends just like that, and zooms away with Godspeed. Meanwhile, somewhere else on the battlefield is a gun wielder, Ling Yu, who is definitely cooked because her twin babies just ran out of ammo, and the monsters aren't anywhere near done with her, but just as she's about to kiss her sweet life goodbye, a stranger rushes in to save her. Lu Feng gets there just in the nick of time, or she would have been just a pile of meat. He takes her by the arms and shoves her into an elevator, telling her to go to a warehouse where she'll find all the ammo she'll ever need, and the password to the lock. Before she leaves, she inquires about why he is helping her, and he reveals that they are actually friends. They just haven't met yet. Then he zooms off to make clean work of those monsters. It takes him 1 minute and 6 seconds to get everything done this time around, so he concludes that he's faster by just a second. Lu Feng's teammates begin to wonder if he played them after they run into a horde of monsters while running through the so-called safe path he showed them. But they have no other choice than to just trust him and push through. They're shocked to see him standing at the end of the tunnel, even after they had seen him zoom off in the other direction, and he assures them to just keep running till they reach the end of the tunnel and to leave the horde of monsters behind them to him. With the click of a button, the entire horde blows up to smithereens, and it's quite the fireworks show. Too bad the gang can't stop to get a better look, lest they get caught in the explosion. But not to worry though, because our boy calculated everything, including the timing and radius of the bombs, so he knows that everyone will be safe. He takes them all to a safe place where they can watch all the chaos unfold from a safe distance, and asks if they believe him now. But even though they admit he's way too strong for a newbie, they don't quite yet. Maps and bombs aren't that hard to obtain around here, so pretty much anyone could do it. Anyone except them, that is. Such ingrates. Besides fighting, he's been doing a lot of learning too. From piloting a plane to medical techniques, even strategic games, you name it. Kakianya inquires if he's made any more pals in the so-called 3,000 years, and he indeed has. He knows most of the 100 people that were transported to this world at the beginning, but out of that many, only 7 are truly dear to him. They try to inquire more to satisfy their disbelief, but our boy has to cut this little interview short, as he has more important matters to attend to. The sun is about to rise again, and that means a restart for him, so he needs to send them all back to human land before that happens. Suddenly, a cable car starts working, which is weird, but Lu Feng had actually reworked the city's electrical system to start functioning at that very moment, like the OPMC he is. Somewhere else in the city, the level boss, Steel-Winged Giant, is wreaking havoc, and the Awakener's attacks do nothing to even slow it down, talk less of dealing damage. The commander realizes that the monster is way out of their league, and is about to order a retreat when someone casually makes a grand entrance. It's Lu Feng, and he's ready to get to work. The commander naturally doesn't want to allow a level 2 nobody anywhere near that thing, but has no choice but to take a back seat and watch an overconfident rookie player fall to his doom, after Lu Feng outright ignores him. Psych. Our boy's attacks deal serious damage to everyone's surprise, but he only cuts specific weak points, which are the fingers of the giant. After that, he predicts that it will go into the second stage, and just like he said, it enters a rope stage where it uses whips to attack. But he won't let it get to the third stage, Steel Wing, where he predicts it will release numerous sword attacks at once and instantly end everyone. Instead, to everyone's shock, he delivers carefully coordinated attacks at specific points on the monster, which makes it reveal its control center, which he quite easily finds and stabs. And that's the end of that. It falls apart and blows up immediately, and the commander can't tell if she just witnessed a level 2 player or a god in action. After the explosion, everyone is shocked to see that a level 2 rookie totally deleted a boss monster from existence. Everyone in 10,000 times the monster drops a sweet reward after slaying it, and our boy knows this one is going to drop a steel-winged giant mechanic egg, but too bad it's going to waste like it did every other time he repeated the day. With the boss taken care of, the level has been cleared and everyone will be transported back to human land after a minute. His teammates, who had watched everything from a safe distance like he intended, start to believe a little that he might actually be telling the truth. But they'd only truly know once they go back and don't see him. Meanwhile, our boy is gearing up for his restart, because every morning at 6 a.m. on the dot, or after the boss is dealt with, his day refreshes and he starts again. That has been his life for so long, and he closes his eyes to restart his cycle again, only to wake up and find himself in a normal human room. Lu Feng almost can't believe he's actually back in the land of humans. After so many years of repeating a cycle of fighting and death, he has finally returned to his Sweer home. His level and stats are still pretty much the same as they were after defeating the boss, that is, still very low, and the sweet bonus also came with him, sitting and just waiting to be cracked. It's a steel-wing giant's egg, and for some reason, the system doesn't know how it can be hatched, which is weird, because he doesn't know just one, but 7 ways he can go about cracking that bad boy. Just then, a knock comes from his door, and it's his adorable little sister, Lu Yao, who was extremely worried when her big brother decided to suddenly disappear for a whole day and his phone wasn't going through. Amidst her yapping, her brother ambushes her with a warm embrace, having missed her for thousands of years. But to her, it's only been a day, so it's nothing more than her brother being all weird as usual. She pushes him away and demands an explanation, and he makes up an excuse to get her to chillax. To butter her up even more, he buys her a repair set she's always wanted, and that does the trick because she switches moods and heads off to make him lunch faster than you can blink. Wanting to hop on her happy train, he makes a request, but she tells him not to push his luck with her. In the past, a car accident took their parents and his sister's ability to walk, so he swore then to make her walk again, even though the doctors had said it was basically pointless. And now he's actually gathered enough medical knowledge to pull it off. He casually floats the idea of doing the surgery himself while she's cooking, and she immediately turns it down, not wanting to raise her hopes up for nothing. Just then, the TV interrupts them, and the reporter is explaining how the gates came to be, and how the awakened must risk their lives to clear them. These awakened have supernatural abilities and can choose a profession and a gate to conquer. But sometimes they're dragged into high-level, unknown, dangerous worlds against their will, and have to fight their way out. Rumors say that only when the god-rank shadow world is dealt with can all the other gates disappear. Then the guild leader of the #1 Awakeners Guild, called Ark, makes an appearance. His name is Alston, and he currently holds the position of strongest awakener in the world, having conquered multiple shadow worlds in his time. He is giving All Might vibes, preaching hope, being a legend, the full package. He truly believes that one day every awakener will be free, but our boy Lu Feng knows it's all crap on top of crap. The truth is that Alston is actually a demon who unalives people just to fill his own power and would hunt down everyone, including our MC, and use their life force to recover. His real goal is not to free awakeners, but to use them as pedestals to his throne as a god who controls this world. So yeah, he's definitely giving more of Homelander's vibes now. Anyway, our boy reckons he should avoid that psycho until he gets stronger. If he wants any chance at beating him, he'll need his very own guild, and he knows the exact people he needs, starting with his teammates back at the raid. Sometime during his repetitions, a scholar had predicted that the next time the Awakeners are forcefully summoned, it would be a catastrophic level world, and he needs to make sure all his friends survive that one as well. The sound of his sister calling him to lunch brings him out of his thoughts. He can't save the world on an empty stomach now, can he? Meanwhile, the golden egg he left in his room is beginning to crack and hatch a little. So our boy Lu Feng goes to pay the Awakened Service Center a little visit, but everyone there just wants to join the Ark Guild like it's hot cake. And no one really wants to actually start a new guild, which is why it shocks everybody when a total nobody like our MC applies to start his very own guild. Normally, only level 50 and above create guilds of their own, and Lu Feng is a measly level 9. The receptionist explains that he would need to submit an A-rank item as collateral while they study it for 1 week, and people around him laugh at this because there's no way a level 9 even has a C-rank item, talk less of an A rank. But our boy blows the hell out of everyone's mind when he casually pulls out his golden egg, which is basically an S-rank treasure. He tells the receptionist to handle it with care and at a stable temperature, and she informs him that at least 3 people have to actually join his guild in the next 36 hours, lest his application be voided. It's no matter for him though, for he already knows everyone he wants, and he will make them join, whatever means necessary. At a kendo gym in London, our busty princess Luo Shui is destroying her training opponent when she gets a random notification on her phone. She annoyingly declines Lu Feng's offer immediately without giving it a second thought. She obviously still doesn't believe that our boy spent that much time in the shadow world. At an establishment, the CEO, who happens to be Anya, is about to lay a poor employee off for slacking around when she sees Lu Feng's notification and spends even less time than Luo Shui in rejecting it. At the military base, Zhao Haishan is busy transporting some heavy delicate mech technology when he receives Lu Feng's invite. This one doesn't even read it and immediately assumes it's one of those scams, rejecting it. Su Tao Tao doesn't accept his invitation either, and it seems that nobody in his team believes him. He'll just have to start with others first and circle back to them later. At a gang fight, some men hail Jia as their big sis, while she single-handedly teaches the opposing team a lesson as she won't allow anyone to bully her underlings. Some guy has a fun idea and rains multiple bullets at her, but she stops each and every one of them with her ability, changes their trajectory, and shoots them right back at him. She then warns him to stay the hell away from her boys, uses her ability to pull him up, and shoves him at a wall. The boys hail her and glaze her real good, and she's basking in all the glory until a strong voice interrupts her, a guy speaking to her like he knows her. Lu Feng asks her to join his guild, being as blunt as humanly possible about it, and she refuses to join a crazy level 9 who thinks he can run a guild by himself naturally. Her boys decide to test the guy who wants their all-powerful big sister, and just a single punch from him sends the 2 grown men flying back to wherever the hell they came from. Shaya is very impressed that he could convert a weak and basic attack like a punch into a powerful blow, but he explains that once you practice a single move 1,000 times, you tend to become OP at it. She then decides to test him herself and throws random stuff at him with her ability, which he dodges, and before she can blink, he's already behind her with a blade to her throat. Being the sore loser that she is, she points out that using a weapon isn't fair, and our boy decides to beat her at her own game, mind ability. He challenges her to knock down more cups than him, and if she wins, he would join her boy fan club. But if he wins, she has to join his guild. She accepts, and her fan club praises her when she uses her ability, Mental Power Burst, to knock down 5 cups at once. It's impressive, but our boy uses that same ability to not only knock out every single cup in that area, but to do so by piercing them right in the middle. She is shocked to see her ability used in such an OP way, and our boy reminds her about turning the most basic skill into an OP ability. As per their deal, she officially joins his guild, which works for her anyway since she really wants to learn how to use her ability like he does, which is what he had planned to do from the start. He leaves just as suddenly as he came, welcoming her into the new Breaking Dawn guild. Lu Feng comes home to an empty house, an already made dinner, and a note from his sister saying that she had gone out to do some stuff that's not important to our story, so it doesn't matter. As he enjoys his dinner, he gets a text from some chick he's been chatting with, and they have quite the chat history as it turns out to be with the gun user he saved back in the shadow world, and she accepts to join his guild without questioning it, even though it's only temporary. You'd think an assassin would be more suspicious of things like this. She works at a maid cafe and is an assassin, but our boy is dead set on bringing her out of that profession, an interest they do not share. He then realizes that he has only 4 hours left, and only 2 members in his guild, so he better hurry up and find the third person. Somewhere else in the city, under some heavy rain, a poor kid is being beaten up by some useless street thugs. He is an awakener, but he doesn't dare fight back for some reason, and the dumb hoodlums are even considering selling him off for some quick cash at the black market. At some point, Li Shijin decides he's had enough, and his ability slips out for a second, which he instantly regrets, trying desperately to call it back. His ability is an honestly cool-looking shadow wolf, but it's pissed off now and devours everyone in sight, causing a lot of damage. Those thugs definitely picked on the wrong kid today, but the wolf is attacking indiscriminately, and innocent pedestrians are being drawn into the chaos. They try to run away, but the big bad wolf just chases them, destroying and attacking as it goes. Li Shijin can only wallow in fear and regret as he can't do anything to stop his own ability and just watches it throw a tantrum like a baby who had his toy taken away, except the baby is huge, furry, and really angry. Even awakeners on the scene can't help much and are shocked when a level 9 newbie steps in to face the beast. He whistles to the overgrown dog to call its attention, and it does give him its full attention to eat him, that is, but it can't even lay a finger on our MC, who is as fast on his feet as he is in his mind. The Awakeners are shocked to see him handle the situation so well, but he's faced off with this beast so many times when his life was still stuck on replay mode that it's practically child's play now. He knows that the dog's temper only gets worse with time and reckons that he's played with it enough and it's time to end this. Li Shijin tries to warn him to run away, but Lu Feng just grabs the boy and uses him as a human shield against the monster without thinking twice. The shadow wolf naturally pounces on both of them, only to disappear just before it makes contact with Li Shijin. And that's the end of that. The boy begins to thank his stars that the shadow wolf somehow recognized him, which is why it stopped. But our MC gives him a harsh dose of reality, telling him that it didn't go away, it returned back to him because they're both one and the same. He remembers that in his repeated days, the beast came out when Li Shijin was being attacked, and the more the boy suffered, the more berserk the beast became. Li Shijin can't wrap his head around the fact that the agent of destruction is actually him. But Lu Feng assures him by promising to teach him how to control his power, which is a special and awfully rare awakened ability that only appears once in every 10,000 awakeners, but has the potential to destroy entire cities if not controlled. He already knows this kid well, as a mega fanboy of Alston who wants to one day become a hero just like him, and he promises to help the boy if he joins his guild. And Li Shijin has no other option than to become the third member of Breaking Dawn. A group of Awakeners are about to enter a D-rank gate but are short 2 members, as per Awakeners rules. But just then, the leader of the group receives a notification from Lu Feng. He and his guild member Xiaya would like to fill the remaining 2 slots. The guy gladly accepts Xiaya, who's a level 24 ability user, but immediately rejects our MC, who is just a level 9. Xiaya refuses to go in if her boss isn't allowed to come along, and the Awakeners are surprised that a woman of her level is calling a level 9 her boss. The leader assumes she must be his side chick or something and agrees to let them in because they could really use a level 24 on their team, and it really doesn't matter much to him anyway. He tells everyone to get prepared to leave in 5 minutes. In exactly 5 minutes, they're about to pass through the gate when Xiaya inquires about the shadow dog boy. Lu Feng explains that he couldn't make it because he had some schoolwork to do, and our thug chick wonders why anyone would think school is still important in an ever-dangerous world like this one. She then asks why the 7 people he chose to be in his guild were chosen in the first place, so he reveals to her that the next forced teleportation will be to a catastrophe-level world, and he needs them all in his guild so he can ensure they make it out alive. She wonders how he's going to do all that saving while he's still a level 9, but she must have forgotten who the hell she's talking to. They go through the gate only to meet a harsh snow world. Even the North Pole in a heavy snowstorm is warmer than the D-rank shadow world they just stepped into, known as the gray-toned snowfield. None of them must have known how cold it would get, because they all immediately start regretting their wardrobe choices for this mission, especially Xiaya. None of them has ever been to this world before, so they know that resources will be little and rare, but since it's still just a D rank, they just have to defeat monsters, collect the drops, defeat the final boss, and be on their merry way. No stress. One of them notices a pretty blue glowing butterfly, and it's so pretty, until it lands on her hand and turns it into a hand of ice that shatters on the ground. The butterflies are everywhere, and now that they know these things aren't just pretty but also dangerous, they try to dodge and attack, but there are way too many, and they get surrounded. Some members become full-blown ice sculptures like something out of a freezer, so our MC casually mentions that the butterflies are attracted to heat, and if they keep staying there, they'll probably all be popsicles in no time flat. This flips a switch in the leader's head, and he immediately orders everyone to quit trying to dodge or attack and just run for their lives. They see that Lu Feng and his girl aren't moving, and he can go to hell for all they care, but they pity the level 24 ability user who is staying behind with him. They've got much more to worry about though, like saving their own butts from hypothermia, so they don't stop running. Xiaya inquires why they aren't running with the rest of the gang and assumes there must be some treasure, which is why they're letting the rest foolishly run so they can have it all to themselves. But Lu Feng informs her that the treasure is for only her, which only feeds her excitement. To her dismay, the treasure he's talking about is training. He tells her to kill the butterflies with her ability, which she thinks is absolutely nuts as she can handle only one wave of it at best with her mental power burst ability. He tells her to stop using her ability to attack in general and instead focus it, killing the butterflies one by one. She explains to him that that would be impossible, as she can only condense it to about the size of a tennis ball. But then he shows her that it is very much not impossible, as he demonstrates using that same ability to kill multiple butterflies, one by one, with single shots. If she hadn't just seen it with her very own eyes, she probably wouldn't believe that her own skill could be used like that. He then instructs her to try focusing on compressing her ability to the size of a grain, and then shoot it the way she wants, with precise angle, speed, and direction. Easy for him to say because he's OP. But she tries it and hits only 2 butterflies at once, which is a significant improvement. He then instructs her to keep doing it and eliminate 2,000 butterflies, adding 1 more every time she takes out more than 1 at a time, as her first round of training. She thinks he's joking, until he leaves her alone to go chill out on a tree while he observes her from afar, dealing with all these deadly butterflies. It is only a matter of time before our street chick is ready to go home, and she runs to her boss who's taking a nap for help, because there's no way she's letting pretty butterflies with Elsa's powers be the end of her. Lu Feng hands her a potion without even bothering to open his eyes to help her, which she desperately drinks without even giving it a second thought, and that allows the butterflies to catch up to her. They totally ignore her though, and she begins to wonder if that was an invisibility potion she just took. It's actually a low-level heat-concealing potion that conceals humans' natural heat so the butterflies won't be attracted to her anymore, and she can train freely. Xiaya inquires as to how he knows they would need this and if he knew about the world before they even passed through the gate, and he promises to tell her as long as she doesn't stop training. She knows that the gate only shows the difficulty level, but nobody actually knows what the world would be like except our MC isn't like anybody else. He's literally part of the system now, having gained enough knowledge to easily predict how a world would turn out to be. Once you've been in the Shadow Realm for 3,000 years, you learn to pick up a thing or two about these worlds. Xiaya probably couldn't do that even if she was given 10,000 years, so she doesn't fully believe him yet. But she keeps training under him, and Lu Feng notices if she misses a butterfly and adds it back for her every single time. Meanwhile, most of the Awakeners they came to the world with are already ice sculptures, just there chilling, literally. The Awakeners have never seen a D-rank world claim so many lives in one go. It's because the monsters here have Elsa-like powers, so that makes them such a pain to deal with. Before they can even recover from the butterflies, bigger trouble comes knocking at their door. Giant bug monsters. They ambush the Awakeners and take them off guard, and the team tries to attack, but they deal little damage. Soon they're overwhelmed and it turns into a massacre, with panic and death everywhere you look. Even the leader loses hope when faced with an elite rank Void Reaper. Meanwhile, Jaya has finally done what her boss instructed her to do, and just like he did it. She's excited and rushes to show him, only to find out that our MC isn't chilling on the tree anymore and is nowhere to be found. She can't believe he actually ran away and left her to deal with these all on her own. Back to the battle. Only the leader and one other chick, one of the people that insulted our MC earlier, are left standing, cornered in the middle of hungry-looking bug monsters. The leader tries to attack, but the bugs make easy and quick work of him, piercing him before he can even land a solid hit. The girl breaks down in tears, about to kiss her sweet life goodbye, when Lu Feng swoops in to save the day, as usual, like the OP MC he is. He slashes the monster in half with one strike, and then makes clean work of the other bugs, cutting them down with precise attacks. The last one tries to run away, which he can allow, but he will be needing its head, so he casually takes it. The chick is shocked that the level 9 newbie she had insulted just saved her, like she should be. She tries to thank him, but she shouldn't flatter herself, as our boy just needed the head of a bug for something, and saving her was a total coincidence, for he couldn't care less about her life even if he tried. He takes the ant head and throws it down a ditch, making her wonder what he is trying to do, and she is horrified when she finds out. He is using the head of the bug monster as bait to get the attention of the monster chilling down there, the final boss of this world, and true to that, it does show, and not just one, two of them. Just like Lu Feng predicted, 2 giant centipede boss monsters known as Swofield Giant Centipede, the final boss of this world. The twin centipedes burrow out from underground, looking scary as ever, and the girl is horrified because if the bug monsters they fought earlier were serious trouble, then she is currently in the pits of hell. Ironic, because they're actually battling on a snowman's land. Lu Feng orders her to get as far away as possible if she values her life, and the girl thinks he must be crazy if he thinks he can beat not just 1, but 2 boss-level monsters at the same time. Our MC isn't crazy, but he's definitely going to beat them black and blue. They fire a storm of ice crystals at Lu Feng, but he swiftly deflects and dodges them like he always has done. He then jumps and hitches a ride on one of the centipedes, and that's when the girl becomes sure that the man in front of her definitely has more than a few screws loose. He shoves his blade into the monster's core located at the forehead, and this makes it go absolutely mental. It wriggles and twists, trying to shake our boy off, but he's just playing cowboy rodeo with these overgrown insects. The twin centipedes burrow their way in and out of the ground in an attempt to shake Lu Feng off, but he sticks on like a stubborn bumper sticker that the car owner has grown tired of. The girl is shocked to find out that he's still sticking strong and untouched too, even after all that, and begins to wonder who the hell they had accepted into their team. Tired of the rough roller coaster ride, our MC decides it's time to end this and uses his sword to slice through the centipede, filleting it like fresh fish, then hopping onto its twin brother and doing the same, making fine chef work of both of them. He beheads them, and that's the end of it, with the beasts dying in an explosion. With the bosses gone, a sweet treasure drops as a reward for defeating them. It's a B-rank weapon, dual frost swords with Elsa-like powers that freeze their target and slow movement and attack speed. This is good because now our boy finally has a B-rank weapon which he reckons is just as strong as an A-rank. With the final boss dealt with, the D-rank world is cleared, and all the remaining Awakeners will soon be teleported back to the real world. The chick from earlier is still in awe of what just happened, and Xiaya isn't ready to go yet as she's not done with the training. Nevertheless, they're all teleported back in less than a minute, and the people outside are shocked to see only 3 people walk out of the supposed D-rank gate. Xiaya is sour that she didn't get to finish her training, but Lu Feng assures her that she did good enough and will get more chances to level up as they visit different gates. She's hyper for some reason, and demands that they go to another one right now, but our boy tells her to go take a breather or two and relax for 2 days. He has some business to sort out before they move forward, and she isn't part of it. At a business firm, a dude who just got fired is desperately begging for his job, wagering the fact that if he should leave the company now, it may make it look bad. But his boss perceives this as a threat, and inquires if he's planning on soiling the company's name once he leaves, which he denies immediately. She cannot rehire someone who basically stole money from the company under the cover of using it for business investments, or maybe she'll just go ahead and report him to the police, which is a worse case than just losing his job for the man. So he begs her not to. She then orders him to repay every single dime he embezzled from the company by selling all his properties and assets. But since he is a good friend of her father's, and has worked under the company for many years, she takes pity on him and decides to give him free accommodation at the company's nursing home until he passes, which is honestly the best offer the poor dude can receive right now, so he accepts. As he leaves, A secretary comes in after him with a report that a guy claiming to be her teammate keeps coming to see her even after he was rejected. She asks if she should call the police, but An Ya, the CEO and boss who just fired an embezzling employee, tells her not to, saying she'll handle the situation. As the secretary leaves, she stands up to have some hot coffee and take in the view of the city from her window when she spots a weird dude who turns to wave at her. It's Lu Feng, her ex-teammate who won't stop bothering her, and just then, she gets a text from the same guy, jokingly accusing her of spying on him. But she doesn't really care what he thinks, because he's the pervert who won't stop stalking her and leaving her alone. He then tries to make some casual conversation about her choice of clothing, but she won't let him, calling him a bad liar with some psychology tricks and blocking him. She's blushing for some weird reason though. Oh shucks, he fails to reel her in once again. He's not having much luck with Tao Tao, who just wants him to help her with her math homework either. Or Zhao, who's on a secret mission at God knows where. With Luo Shui in Europe, Tao Tao in London, CEO Anya who doesn't want to see him, and Zhao at an unknown location, he begins to fret about how he will get them to join his guild, especially since the foretold catastrophe world is coming only 10 days from now. He wonders if it's maybe time to use other methods to persuade his future friends. Lu Feng is taking all his current guild members to some unknown destination, and our maid assassin has to remind him that she only joined his guild in name and isn't actually planning on joining in any group activities he might be cooking up. He had tricked her by posting a tempting ad for an assassin on the black market, so technically she has to be here. She wonders why this whole family trip has to be in the middle of the night though, so he reveals that he's taking them to a training ground, but that doesn't really answer her question. They arrive at their destination, and it's a massive infrastructure, a military base. Xiaya inquires about the whereabouts of the remaining 4 members of his guild, and he assures them that they will join soon enough. Shadow Dog Boy Li Shijin wonders why there are no people at the base, and our MC reveals that he has actually hacked into the base and misinformed everyone that there had been a leakage of dangerous Shadow World substance, so everyone cleared the base for 15 days as per emergency safety protocol. He says this so nonchalantly like it isn't a big deal, which it probably isn't. Not for him at least, and now they have the entire base to themselves for 2 whole weeks. Xiaya glazes at her boss, because to her, he can do anything apart from having babies. He had to find some way of keeping himself busy back in his repetition days, so there wasn't any harm in picking up one skill or two. He sets his hand out, and after scanning his handprint, the N805 military base grants him full access to all the base's facilities and controls, like it's been waiting for its master to come back. He informs them that this will be their new training ground for the next few days and walks them into the really cool-looking S-65 Aerospace Virtual Training Room, where aerospace fighters go to train. No, they're not going outer space cruising, even though that would be very cool. They'll just be using the simulator pods there to train. Our maid assassin Ling Yu doesn't hesitate to remind Lu Feng that she isn't built for any of this extra work, so she won't even bother participating. You'd think she'd stick with it after all that cocky attitude earlier, but she clearly got interested at some point, because a few minutes later, she's begging for another chance after she loses in the training pods. Her virtual spaceship is destroyed, so she has to chillax for a bit while our MC works his magic in calculating the blast range. She also asks if he could maybe tweak the training mode a bit, and that's no problem for our master hacker, who does it so easily it's scary. He had a lot of time on his hands back in his repetition days, so he got into many weird hobbies like studying spaceship designs, ecology, and other weird space stuff. Xiaya is especially excited about this whole ordeal, as playing with weightless rotation and realistic damage is so cool to her, but Lu Feng reminds her that they're not here to have fun, and that he has already set up a training room for her to train her mental abilities. She agrees but notices that Li Shijin is struggling with his training, panting like he just finished a marathon. In survival mode, you have to dodge virtual meteors and energy tornadoes, increasing your mental spirit power. Perfect for psychic ability users, and there's also attack mode that requires you to destroy targets and helps increase focus. Xiaya takes on survival mode, Ling Yu deals with attack mode, and our Shadow Dog Boy Li Shijin plays both of them combined. Lu Feng starts a new round, and they face the music immediately, as with a lot of target practice, spinning, and teeth grinding, they face a virtual simulation of space battles. Our MC informs Li Shijin that the double mode is supposed to help him with his emotions, since it trains both mental spirit abilities and focus, and reminds him of the breathing technique he taught him. After hours of playing, the team lays on the floor completely exhausted and starving, having spent all their energy. They're barely down for 5 minutes when their devilish boss informs them that break time is over. It might be a cruel and harsh training schedule, but it will be nothing compared to the hell they're about to face when the catastrophe-class world finally arrives. After a week at this hellish training, the trio are recovering in some medical pods with healing liquids in them at the sick bay in the base. Ling Yu is the first to step out and puts on her clothes, feeling refreshed after the healing process. Lu Feng commends her for her speedy recovery, as she's always the first to finish healing, and takes her to go see her training results. At training, Ling Yu uses the aerospace virtual battlefield to train her attack abilities, determined to achieve better results this time around. At her signal, Lu Feng starts the training and a swarm of artificially intelligent robotic dogs rushes over to attack her. She quickly whips out her twin babies, her guns, and starts firing at them with precise targeting. As she destroys one, another takes its place, and she notices that their speed has increased. They soon try to gang up on her, but she moves swiftly, using one as a pedal stool to jump and fire from the air. Too bad for them, for her speed has also increased greatly. After the training, the system shows that her accuracy has increased by 35%, her aiming speed by 40%, and her overall damage rate by 43%, which is not a bad result. But Lu Feng advises her to work on her recoil recovery. At the gravity room, Xia Ye trains in zero gravity, working on her balance and adapting to weightlessness whilst dodging giant balls with her mental spirit burst. She can easily hold 2, and when 4 more come in, she can hold them off too. She's feeling confident now, but that soon drowns when her hellish trainer decides to increase the balls to 40, when he's well aware that she can only handle about 10 balls at once. She pleads with him, but he totally ignores her and increases the balls anyway, and she begins to struggle as she can't handle that many, and even begins to give up on life itself. But Lu Feng advises her to try compressing her ability to its limit and releasing it all at once, instantly. She does as he said and unlocks a new skill, turning Avatar State Mode and blowing all the balls away from her. Her new skill, Astral Zone, locks all the balls in place, and she's more than excited about it, so much so that her overconfidence kicks in again, and suddenly she wants to go raid other shadow worlds. Lu Feng commends her ability, for even among other psychic abilities, she'll definitely be his trump card in battle. At the obstacle course, the Shadow Wolf is attempting to complete it, dodging mind bombs that are littered all over the place, under the commands of his master Lin Shijin. It goes out of control and accidentally activates a bomb that blows right in its face, reducing it to a shadow that returns to Lin Shijin. He is extremely disappointed in himself, and in the fact that he couldn't even complete the stupid obstacle course. His trainer, Lu Feng, reminds him of where he started, from only being able to control the wolf for a few 7 seconds before it goes berserk again to being able to hold it for a whole 3 minutes, which is pretty impressive. He disagrees with this though, as 3 minutes is a relatively short amount of time, but Lu Feng reveals to him that in battle, having destructive power for even as little as 3 seconds is enough to come out on top. They all did their best, but now it's time to leave. With that, their 2 weeks-long hellish training camp comes to an end. He advises them to go home and rest, but Jia is just finally happy to be able to go home and test her new skills on actual people. And Lin Shujin has a lot of homework to catch up on, so he's not as excited as her. Our MC reckons that the catastrophe rank world will be coming in only 3 days, and he is still at level 13 now, so he has some intense leveling up to do. Time is ticking, with only 72 hours left. It's a beautiful morning and Lu Feng is catching up on some much-needed beauty sleep when his phone interrupts his tranquility. He picks up and his sister yells his eardrums out from the other end, complaining about all the stuff he did at her work yesterday, so he tiredly explains how he just fixed some things like she had asked him to. But the sister complains that he went overboard by fixing the car, the skeleton, and even going as far as giving random people free needle acupuncture massages. There's a fine difference between just helping around a bit and entirely taking over the whole place. She was the best worker in the place, and now no one might even remember her, all thanks to her dumb but capable brother, so she tells him never to come to her workplace ever again, and he wants to explain to her that his intentions were pure, but she hangs up. You'd think a girl would be more grateful for having such an awesome brother as our MC. He then gets a notification from Tao Tao. She had wanted him to help tutor her today, but unfortunately, he already has plans. She then reminds him of their agreement, that if he tutors her 5 times, she would join his guild. So as a compromise, he invites her to join him in the shadow world while he grinds some monsters, and he can give her some free lessons there. He has only 2 days before the catastrophe world begins, and he has some intense leveling up to do. No time to keep sleeping about, that's for sure. They need to pay the C-rank shadow world, old abandoned town, a visit. At the C-rank Shadow World, Lu Feng pays a visit with Tao Tao, who's buried in her laptop. He asks if she even cares to know how he knows this place so well. But nope, she'd rather tap keys while walking on unknown territory instead. Soon they see a group of people walking towards them like zombies that haven't seen food for days. So he signals her that it's time to battle. But she pays no heed. Still buried in her laptop, a man from the group of people totally freaks out and transforms into a mean-looking werewolf. And that's more than enough to grab her attention. He pounces towards them, and our MC goes in with his dual ice blades without wasting any time. He uses its active skill to slow down the werewolf, and then makes swift work of him, beheading him with a single slash. He then orders Tao Tao to give him 2 buffs, Silver Level Attack Enhancement and Saint's Blessing, as more werewolves gather to attack him all at once with intense rage. She grants him the buffs but is worried that he can't take them all at the same time. Think again, sister, because he swiftly deals with all of them, slashing and dicing till there's no one left standing, but a pile of dead werewolf bodies and his level increasing rapidly. With the buff, his attack power increases exponentially, and he is able to deal way more damage, and the werewolves grant 5 times more XP, which is great for someone whose goal is to level up as quickly as possible. Tao Tao concludes that he must have just wanted to use her as a tool to level up faster instead of actually tutoring her, but he explains that he is still here to help. She just hasn't asked him any questions yet, while he's still grinding monsters. She goes ahead and asks him one complicated question that would give even the smartest professors a headache, and asks for an explanation while she keys in the answer on her laptop. He tells her to try solving it on her own, as she must always try taking a problem head-on before asking or relying on someone else for help. Of course, she's not happy with this, and he requests more buffs which she refuses to give him, wanting to preserve her magic power, and besides, he has finished grinding all the monsters, but he reveals that he wants to go on to the next area as soon as possible and needs her buffs twice as fast. She understands for sure now that he's definitely treating her like a tool. They move to the next spot where they find a group of skeleton mages just chilling on their own. She tries to explain that so many high-level skeletons will definitely be too much to handle for a human like him, but all he cares about is the fact that they give way more XP, which is exactly what the doctor prescribed for him. She then inquires about how many levels he's even hoping to reach in this shadow world, and he reveals to her that he plans on reaching level 21. For her, it's absolutely crazy for someone to want leveling up so bad in just one raid, unless he plans on staying in this world for at least a week, but he informs her that he actually only has 24 hours to complete his level goal, which is even crazier. She is lost on how he intends to reach that level in such a short amount of time, but he just ignores her and asks for more buffs. This time he wants Saint's Blessing, Light Attribute Attack, and Flash Speed. She then remembers when he told her to ask him any questions, and keeps on whining like the baby she is. She still has an unanswered question on her laptop, so he promises to give her the answers right away this time around. She grants him the buffs, and he jumps right in the middle of the skeleton monsters to attack. They try to counter by conjuring some deadly lightning strikes, but our MC jumps and dodges the attacks, then lands his own attack, dealing great damage and making clean work of them without breaking a sweat. He levels up quickly as a result and goes on to finish up the rest of the monsters. Tao Tao senses that he isn't giving her the answers he promised and demands for them, but he tells her to look at the rock face in front of her, and what she sees shocks her to the core. He had written the correct answer on the wall mid-battle with his swords without her even noticing. She has no idea when he found the breathing air to even think about the question, let alone carve it in on a freaking wall. After a short while, Lu Feng is done dealing with all the skeleton monsters but is only at level 17, still quite far from his goal. He signals to Tao Tao that they leave, as the leveling is now getting slow. She is surprised at how fast he's working, and reminds him that even if they somehow manage to defeat the final boss, he still won't get up to level 21. He tells her not to worry, as he already has something planned, and requests 2 boost buffs as usual. She sees the need to remind him that she's only here to study, and not to be his tool for grinding monsters and leveling up, as if that makes any sense. At a creepy graveyard with dead trees and skeleton heads laying around like it's Halloween, Lu Feng casually gives Tao Tao some science lessons regarding the fact that they're currently in the Headless Valley, the home of the final boss. She is curious as to why he's suddenly so eager to help her instead of finding the boss monster like he normally does, and just then, he notices that his prey has finally arrived. They duck and hide behind a headstone while a headless dude in knight armor comes riding on a freaky-looking horse. It's the final boss, Headless Skeleton General, and he's quite the intimidating fellow. This time around, Lu Feng requests 5 boosts: Saint's Blessing, Light's Loneliness, Darkness's Anger, Whirlwind Strength, and Lightning Rhythm. but she's still freaked out by the fact that they are face to face with a super strong boss that's not playing with them. She eventually grants him all the buffs, but is extremely worn out after casting so many high-level buffs at the same time. Our MC thanks her warmly for this and assures her he'll repay her 1,000 times as much. Even though she doesn't believe him as usual, she warns him that the opponent is nothing to joke about, as one strike from him is instant game over. He tells her to just focus on her homework and not to hesitate to ask him any questions while he kicks some boss monster butt. The headless skeleton general notices him as he approaches and swears to bury his soul there for eternity, which is kind of a harsh punishment for just mere trespassing. The general charges in and strikes, but our boy swiftly dodges it like it's nothing. He then counterattacks, but his multiple attacks are intercepted and blocked by the general's impenetrable defense shield, so none of his attacks are connecting. Cao Cao reckons that the boss's MP and HP are both maxed out, which spells trouble for anyone stupid enough to face him alone. And she begins to worry about Lu Feng. She's even more worried when he begins to provoke the headless skeleton general, at this point begging to be slain by this monster. The headless skeleton general is naturally enraged by his cockiness and rushes in for an attack, destroying the earth beneath him on the way and sending an earthquake shockwave towards him. Lu Feng quickly dodges and assures Cao Cao to focus on her homework while he deals with this headless idiot, as there's not an ice's chance in hell that it can touch him. She reminds him that he can't touch it either because of that dumb, impenetrable shield it's got, and he will definitely lose if the battle turns out to be a stamina tug-of-war. He informs her that that's the reason why he brought her along, and she finally catches him admitting to just wanting to use her as a leveling up tool. He keeps provoking the headless skeleton general to chase him while he hops over a wedge of 2 stones and watches it get stuck in between the rocks. Cao Cao realizes that that was his devious plan all along, to trap the boss monster so that he can take his sweet time dealing with it and its dumb barrier. He instructs her to cast a high-class magic spell, Fire Pillar, on it, and she does, sending a sky-high rain of flames on the poor monster, and threatening to do the same to our MC if he doesn't find a way to make it up to her. It tries to defend with its barrier at first, but the flames start to get through. Cao Cao doesn't fail to point out the fact that he's letting a kid do all the work while he's just chilling and waiting to land the final blow, taking the glory, but our ruthless MC doesn't really care as long as he's the victor at the end. After a while of fiery torture, the headless skeleton general is weakened, and Cao Cao is relieved that they can finally finish him now. However, Lu Feng tells her not to let her guard down, as he still has to go in and land the final blow, and the monster can still very much vaporize them even in this weakened state. He goes in and lands a critical blow and finishes it, and that's the end of that, increasing his level to 19. Cao Cao then points out the fact that they'll soon be teleported, as the boss monster has been defeated, and he still hasn't reached his level goal yet. At least, that was what Cao Cao thought, until she saw a second boss monster appear from nowhere. She probably should have guessed something was off when the system didn't alert them after he slayed the final boss. She then realizes that Lu Feng had used the light seed magic to revive the very same boss monster he had just slain, only to battle it again like the psycho he is. She gives him buffs, and he goes to challenge that monster again, and they go through the same battle all over, and he wins, again. This time, the system recognizes it and begins teleporting them back. Cao Cao, now completely exhausted, is just glad that this hell of a raid is finally over and she can get back to sweet human land. The headless skeleton general dissolves away, and our boy collects the sweet drop rewards it leaves behind. Among them is the S-Class impenetrable protection shield that belonged to the headless skeleton general, which shocks Cao Cao because it is extremely rare, with a drop rate close to 0. He can now use it since he's level 21, and he reckons that it will increase their chances of survival in the catastrophe rank shadow world that is to come by about 20%. With that, they leave the world, and it's just another successful raid. It's still 24 hours until everyone is forcefully transported to the catastrophe rank world, and our busty princess Luo Shui is facing off against some chick in a grand tournament. She goes in for a strike and ends the match in one move, with her opponent on her knees and admitting defeat. She is declared the winner, and the crowd goes wild because after challenging 17 different families and scoring 17 consecutive wins, she beat every single one of them, achieving a perfect victory and setting a new record. She has finally restored her once-fallen family name, and the crowd praises her excessively, calling her a goddess. While she collects her praise, she receives yet another message from her stalker and is honestly impressed by the fact that this is his 31st account, as she keeps blocking him. She admits that he might be strong, but she really doesn't care much for liars, so she doesn't hesitate to decline and block him once again. Meanwhile, at another location, some armed thieves are rejoicing in the fact that they've found some weapons to steal and are already counting how much cash they can get from selling them. However, their joy is cut short when a madman bursts into the room and starts raining bullets on them like it's a world war. They panic when he whips out a bazooka, aims, and fires at them without even flinching. The madman, Zhao Haishan, leaves after a job well done, only to receive another notification, which he assumes is just more spam mail and ignores it. While all this is happening, our CEO Anya is at a conference where she's introducing a new technology, the AHP company's 5th-generation nanobots, to her audience. She explains that with evolving technology, the role of nanobots in medicine has become apparent. And with her company's newest domestic nanobots, it will be suitable for late-night workers and even the elderly. Before she can continue with the presentation, she politely requests that the suspicious-looking fellow at the back be escorted out. The security drags Lu Feng out the door, ignoring his claims of being a good person, and Anya's secretary is shocked that Anya could tell it was him even with the disguise. She begins to worry that she might be becoming just as weird after spending time with him. Time passes, and now it's only 3 hours before the catastrophe rank world comes to claim them all. Lu Feng holds an online meeting with his guild members via video call, and they discuss strategy. Shaya notices the huge bags under his eyes, but he explains that he just got back from a really tiring conference. He tells Tao Tao, who is busy playing on her phone, to quit it. Tao Tao whines about only having time to play on the weekends and points out that the maid assassin, Ling Yu, also isn't listening, even though she is, but always has that blank expression. However, when he gets serious, no one needs to tell her to drop her phone and listen when her boss is talking. Lu Feng gets straight to the point and breaks down the situation, not mincing words as he informs them of the unavoidable catastrophe rank world that is coming for them and all other awakeners. If they're lucky, it might just be a B rank, but if luck isn't on their side, it could turn out to be an S rank shadow world, which is truly the worst case scenario. This terrifies the group, but he goes on to give rules regardless. 1. They're not to move beyond 50 meters from him. 2. Unless he declares an area safe, they are to keep their guard up at all times, regardless of where they are. After explaining, he asks if there are any questions. They inquire about the rest of his proposed guild members who should have joined by now. He assures them that he still has time to figure that part out. Tao Tao, being as stubborn as usual, doesn't believe him, but he doesn't really care. It's now 1 minute before the catastrophe rank world comes for them, and military commander Zhao Haishan looks down at an old picture of himself and his soldiers when his system alerts him that he has just successfully joined a guild he has no knowledge of. He doesn't know what just happened and blames it on his old age. 24 seconds remain, and Luo Shui is wiping her blade when the system alerts her that she has joined her stalker's guild without her consent. CEO Anya also gets the same notification, but she is able to immediately deduce that it's the work of the pervert. She begins to wonder how he hacked into the shadow system, or if he had someone else behind him. 10 seconds left, and Tao Tao realizes Lu Feng's plan is to force them to join. Since Awakeners have to wait 5 minutes before they can leave a guild after joining, by then they will have already been teleported to the catastrophe rank world. Lu Feng tells everyone to get ready as the time ticks down to 0, swearing to bring everyone back alive again. They all get teleported, just like our MC predicted. Just as he planned, the system teleports all of them together as a group, including the 3 who didn't want to be there in the first place. Luo Shui immediately starts to question Lu Feng for using such a shameless method to force them here. Zhao Haishan has no idea what just happened and believes it's some kind of crazy coincidence that he's reunited with his teammates, but Anya tells them all to pay attention to the trouble ahead. They have been teleported into a world where one half is made of fire while the other half is made of ice. Anya is terrified when she realizes that they were teleported to an S-rank shadow world known as the Realm of Ice and Fire. She had only heard of it before and never dared to imagine it actually existed. Lu Feng continues to explain that the center of the world is known as the Death Circle. On one half is fire, and on the other is ice. The circle will keep expanding, and after some time, it will cover the entire city, and then the entire world will be destroyed along with anything or anyone still in it. That's why he wanted all of them together in this catastrophe rank world, because the death rate here is 100%, which means literally no one who has been here has made it out alive before. It seems they're definitely not the only ones who got teleported to this world. Many other Awakeners were transported as well, but none of them are half as prepared as our MC and his guild members, so they run and panic as they try to make sense of what exactly is going on. One thing's for sure, The black hole in the middle of the city is trouble, so they all run away from it, past our MC and his gang who don't even take a step back. Unlike them, Lu Feng knows that the more they try to escape, the more they seal their fate. Anya turns to him for help, inquiring about his plan to escape the 100% death rate of this world. So he explains to her that they'll have to understand what exactly happened in this city. Turns out that the death hollow of a world they're currently in actually used to be a thriving technological city, and the founder, Steelheart, was a crazy scientist who had turned himself into a freaky cyborg, all for the sake of mad power. Due to his obsession, he stupidly integrated himself with an unhinged ultimate master chip that took over his mind and made him go berserk. The now uncontrollable Steelheart caused the hot flames and freezing ice of the city, resulting in the chaos currently enveloping the place they're in. Jaya deduces that they will have to eliminate this Steelheart dude to clear the world, but Lu Feng reveals that he's right in the middle of the death circle, the same one that gives any player dumb enough to step in it an instant game over, and it's located in the middle of intense scorching and freezing weather conditions, which means he's basically untouchable. But they don't have a choice. Luo Shui immediately disagrees with Lu Feng as usual and wants to go on her own, asking Anya to follow her. Lu Feng nonchalantly stops her and reminds her of his 50-meter rule. She has to stay close to him at all times so he can protect her if anything comes up. But of course, her cocky attitude doesn't let her agree, and she's ready to battle him then and there over it too. He informs her that using force to take her with him is totally off limits, and this is quickly turning into serious beef between our MC and the dumb, cocky swordswoman. Anya hops in just in time to stop them from fighting and explains to Luo Shui that they can't be fighting at a time like this. Unity is crucial if they're going to survive this chaos. And since Lu Feng seems to know what he's doing, it's probably not the worst idea to follow him for now. But if she finds out he's lying, she even promises to join Luo Shui in taking him down. Luo Shui reluctantly agrees to this arrangement, having to obviously bite her stupid humongous ego to do so. Lu Feng orders Tao Tao to stop playing on her phone again, but she whines that this may be the last time she gets to play and even points out that Zhao Haishan is drinking, so she should be allowed to have some fun too. And boy, Zhao did leave the land of the sober a long time ago. Lu Feng honestly couldn't care less if his guild members believe him or not. He's still as determined to save them as he was before, so he leads his team into the fiery part of the city. Anya asks her stalker what his reason was for choosing the flaming part of the city, and Lu Feng explains that the cold from the ice section would slow them down, and he can't take the risk of not being able to protect them quickly. The flaming part isn't any better than the cold section though, as it's scorching hot and just as dangerous. He assures his team that he has a plan and goes forward with his blade. Some Egyptian mummy-looking monsters begin to spawn out of nowhere, and our MC deals with them swiftly. When they disintegrate, they leave a chip-like object, which Anya recognizes as a fire immunity chip that will keep the user from boiling for about 3 minutes. She realizes that all the monsters are technology products, and if they gather enough chips, they can actually make it out of here without turning into burnt steak. Lu Feng agrees with this and goes further to explain that they'll need to keep it up for 2 hours, which is how long it will take the death circle to engulf the entire world, as it expands every 30 minutes. Tao Tao calculates that they'll need a whole lot of chips if they want to keep everyone safe from the flames, about 350 to be exact. So they better get to work fast, and Tao Tao returns to being just a buffing tool, which suits a whiny baby like her. More mummies start appearing, so they prep for battle, and Tao Tao grants the entire gang a buff as requested. The monster wiping can commence. Zhao Haishan adopts the style of the drunken master, fighting while still heavily under the influence, just making himself twice as crazy as usual. Anya punches her way through the monsters, and Luo Shui slices and dices like usual. Ling Yu snipes her targets from a distance, and the Shadow Wolf wipes out a good amount of them as well. Li Shijin struggles to stay in control, but he manages to keep the dog in check, with encouragement from Jiaya, who's bursting heads with her mental spirit burst power. With 15 minutes left till the next expansion, Lu Feng orders his team to hurry up and finish off these monsters before another set comes to take their place. 6 minutes till the expansion, and they're done clearing most of the monsters. Lu Feng asks the CEO how many chips they still need, and she informs him that they're still short of 30 chips. There isn't much time left, so Lu Feng comes up with a better idea, to attract the monsters to them instead. He crushes an S-rank magic crystal bait item that attracts monsters, and it does its job damn well. The next minute, a huge creature comes to them like a moth to a flame. It's an artificially made sphinx, or just an Egyptian dog with a freaky face. And it's huge. Buckle up, because the remaining fire immunity chips they need just came knocking on their door, and Lu Feng is excited that this overgrown dog might just drop more than chips. The Sphinx attacks, but Lu Feng dodges and counterattacks, slicing off one of its legs with his dual ice blades. He then orders Xia Ya, and she attacks with her mental abilities, lifting multiple vehicles and throwing them at the monster. Luo Shui then uses a special skill that transcends even stars themselves, like an actual goddess, and rains down her judgment sword on the poor beast, dealing critical damage and slicing it clean in half, destroying it. They get a whole 50 fire immunity chips from it, and Lu Feng recognizes Luo Shui's ability, even though she still won't believe him. He offers her the ring that drops from the monster, and she immediately refuses it, panicking and blushing, but our MC explains to her that it's just a magic item to help reduce her special skill's cooldown time, and wonders what she thinks he was implying. As she looks at the A-rank magic item known as the Sword's Path that can only be worn by swordmasters, she realizes she just blushed for nothing. Her daydreaming is interrupted by some thugs who had captured the team's sniper, who had been a distance away from the ground, on top of a building. Luo Shui demands they identify themselves, but Ling Yu already knows they're assassins from one of the top 10 assassin guilds in the world, the Black Fog. They demand the gang hand over all their chips, or the maid gets it, just like they dealt with all the other guilds. Xiaya turns to her boss for help, but he just calmly asks Anya to hand him all the chips, and she does so, understanding what he actually meant. He then casually walks over and tries to strike a deal with them. They promise to hand over Ling Yu in exchange for all the chips, and they don't fail to remind him that they have other assassins scattered around the place in case he does anything funny. Devious Lu Feng uses mind games to stall them, asking them to check if the chips are legit until he is ready to set his plan in motion. Once the 6 minutes left before the expansion are over, he uses the chips on himself, and once his team sees this, they do the same, because he clearly didn't take all the chips before, and that grants them fire immunity as the expansion begins. As the death circle expands, the fire begins to spread rapidly, now covering whole buildings, and before the assassins can understand that they've just been played by our MC, the fire reaches them, burning them to a crisp. Ling is protected, though, by the impenetrable shield of the headless skeleton general that Tao Tao immediately recognizes, and she deduces that he must have put the mark on her earlier. It is only Anya who understands what is truly going on, as she realizes that Lu Feng isn't a normal human. He anticipated that Ling Yu would be attacked because she was the only one alone as the sniper, and he prepared for that outcome while simultaneously timing the expansion, so it wipes out all his enemies without him having to lift a finger. She sure is glad that he's on her side now, and he beckons them to move on as they continue their journey toward the death circle. The flames are now everywhere, engulfing that entire section of the city and bringing down buildings. The gang is safe though, but only because of the fire immunity chips, and Lu Feng orders them to stay close to him as he leads the way like a pro who's been here before. He explains that in his 3,000 years of repeating the same day, he had come across and studied a map of the shadow world, and the cocky goddess scoffs at this. Jiaya notices that Luo Shui still won't believe him even after all that has happened, but Tao Tao explains to her that although Lu Feng is strong, he is also an awfully mysterious person. And Luo Shui, on the other hand, is kind but not naive, and will definitely suspect someone claiming to have repeated one day for 3,000 years. They soon spot another group of people who are also making it through the flames somehow, by using fire-resistant protective gear. They might look like they came prepared, but Zhao Haishan points out that such gear probably won't last in such harsh conditions. Just then, they are hit by an intense earthquake that catches them off guard, but Lu Feng immediately commands them to hush and hide, for something very big and terrifying is coming. They're giant monsters that look like those Egyptian deities with canine features, known as the Apocalypse Patrol Team, and they're much bigger than the Sphinx from earlier.